The deception. Sarah Chen's hands moved with practiced precision across the maintenance panel, her movements deliberate and unhurried despite the gravity of her mission. The crystalline corridors of the Galactic Council's Centauri station hummed with artificial life, its alien architecture a constant reminder of humanity's relative youth among the stars. To the countless species bustling through the station's halls, she was just another human technician, one of the many permitted to serve in the lower echelons of galactic society. They couldn't have been more wrong. The neural implant behind her left ear pulsed softly, feeding her real-time data about the station's security systems. Sarah had spent 3 years building her cover, carefully constructing the identity of Sarah Chen, Level 3 maintenance technician, a role so mundane that even the station's advanced AI barely registered her presence. It was the perfect disguise for Earth's most accomplished intelligence operative. A group of Meridians glided past, their crystalline bodies refracting the station's ambient lighting. Sarah kept her head down, her movements mechanical and repetitive. The Meridians, like most Council species, barely acknowledged her existence. Humanity's late arrival to the galactic stage had relegated them to the status of useful servants, tolerated but never truly respected. Maintenance Hub, status report on Section 7G, crackled her comm unit. The voice belonged to Krell, her Thanarian supervisor. Routine diagnostic in progress, Sarah responded, her voice carrying the slight hint of boredom expected from someone performing menial tasks. Estimated completion: 15 minutes. The lie rolled off her tongue effortlessly. In truth, she was copying massive amounts of encrypted data from the station's secure servers. The maintenance panel before her was a backdoor into the Council's most closely guarded secrets, a vulnerability she had discovered months ago. Her neural implant flashed a warning. Unusual data patterns in the transfer. Sarah's fingers paused momentarily as she processed the information. What she found made her blood run cold. Buried deep within the encrypted files was evidence of something impossible. The Council had somehow acquired Echo, Earth's most advanced artificial intelligence system. Echo had been humanity's crown jewel, a quantum AI capable of predicting and countering any military strategy with unprecedented accuracy. Its existence had been Earth's most closely guarded secret, until now. The data streaming through her implant painted a disturbing picture. The Council wasn't just studying Echo, they were weaponizing it. A shadow fell across her workstation. "Technician Chen," a smooth voice called out. What a pleasant surprise. Sarah's heart rate remained steady even as adrenaline flooded her system. She recognized the voice. High Counselor Zextar of the Arconian Dominion. His presence here was no coincidence. She turned, offering a perfectly rehearsed bow of deference. "High Counselor, I'm honored by your attention." Zextar's scaled face remained impassive, but his secondary eyes, the ones most humans didn't know existed, tracked her movements with predatory focus. "We so rarely see humans in this section of the station. The security systems are delicate." "Yes, High Counselor. I was called to repair a malfunctioning diagnostic port." Sarah gestured to her work, her movements deliberately clumsy, projecting an image of nervous anxiety that any lower-ranked technician would feel in the presence of a council member. Indeed. Zextar's primary eyes narrowed slightly. "Tell me, Technician Chen, have you ever heard of an Earth system called Echo?" The question hung in the air like a drawn blade. Sarah allowed confusion to cross her features, even as her augmented muscles tensed imperceptibly. "Echo, sir. I'm afraid I don't understand. My clearance only covers maintenance systems." Zextar studied her for a long moment, his scaled head tilting slightly. "Of course. How foolish of me to ask." He gestured to the guards flanking him. Massive Krathos warriors whose very presence spoke of violence. "Please, continue your work. We wouldn't want any malfunctions in our systems." Sarah turned back to the panel, her movements still steady despite the threat humming beneath Zextar's words. Through her peripheral vision, she watched them depart, her neural implant recording every detail of the encounter. Once they were gone, she accessed her quantum-encrypted channel to Earth Command. The message she sent was brief. Echo compromised. Council aware. Contingency required. The response was immediate. Maintain cover. Assessment required. Sarah closed the maintenance panel, her mind racing through possibilities. The Council had Earth's most powerful AI, and now they knew that she knew. The game had changed, but they had made one critical mistake. They still thought she was just a technician. As she walked through the crystalline corridors, Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Soon, they would learn why humanity had survived countless wars, why Earth had risen from its own ashes time and time again. Soon, they would learn that underestimating humans was the last mistake any species should make. High above, in the secure chambers of the Council, alarms began to sound. The hunt was about to begin. Web of lies. The quantum processor in Sarah's neural implant worked overtime, processing terabytes of stolen data as she navigated Centauri Station's lower levels. Her encounter with High Counselor Zexstar had confirmed her worst fears. The Council wasn't just aware of Echo's existence. They were actively hunting for more information about Earth's capabilities. The maintenance tunnels provided perfect cover, a labyrinth of shadowy corridors that most species considered beneath their dignity to monitor. Sarah had spent months mapping these forgotten spaces, turning the station's neglected infrastructure into her personal highway. As she moved, her augmented vision highlighted the subtle security measures even these abandoned areas possessed. Quantum sensors, motion detectors, and radiation scanners, all designed to catch the unwary. She disabled them one by one, her movements swift and precise. Each security device she neutralized was another breadcrumb, another piece of evidence that would point to corporate espionage rather than military intelligence. The Council's arrogance would lead them to suspect their economic rivals before considering that a mere human could penetrate their defenses so thoroughly. Her neural implant pulsed, decoding another layer of the stolen files. The information streaming through her consciousness painted an increasingly disturbing picture. The Arconians hadn't just stolen Echo, they had modified it. The AI's original defensive protocols had been twisted, transformed into something that could predict and exploit weaknesses in any military strategy, including Earth's. A shadow moved at the edge of her enhanced vision. Sarah froze, becoming one with the darkness. A Krathos Guard patrol passed nearby, their heavy footsteps echoing through the metal grating. These weren't ordinary security forces. Their armor bore the distinctive markings of the Arconian elite guard, warriors enhanced with biotechnology that rivaled her own augmentations. Sector clear, one of them growled in their native tongue, a language Sarah wasn't supposed to understand. No sign of the human. Spread out, their leader commanded. High Counselor Zexstar wants every maintenance tunnel searched. She couldn't have gotten far. Sarah allowed herself a grim smile. They were good, but they were looking for a frightened technician, not a ghost who had trained for years to become invisible in plain sight. She accessed the station's maintenance protocols through her implant, initiating a cascade of minor system failures across multiple sectors. Alarms blared in distant corridors, drawing the guards away from her position. With the path clear, she made her way to her primary objective, the station's quantum computing core. If her analysis was correct, the modified version of Echo would be housed there, integrated into the Council's primary defense networks. The security around the core was legendary. Multiple layers of automated defenses, biotechnic scanners, and elite guards. No human was supposed to be able to breach it. But Sarah had an advantage they hadn't considered. During her 3 years as a maintenance technician, she had discovered that the quantum core required regular cooling system maintenance. The Council's own regulations mandated that these systems be accessible to maintenance personnel, including humans. It was a vulnerability born of their own prejudice, their belief that no lesser species could possibly understand their advanced technology. She reached a maintenance junction and accessed a hidden panel, her fingers dancing across the holographic interface. The stolen data had provided her with the final piece she needed, the quantum encryption keys used by the Council's inner circle. With these, she could access the core's systems directly. The interface hummed to life, displaying streams of alien code. Sarah's neural implant began translating, comparing the patterns to known Council security protocols. What she found confirmed her worst fears. The modified Echo wasn't just a weapon, it was the centerpiece of a broader strategy. The Arconians planned to use it to predict and counter every possible move Earth could make, rendering humanity's defenses useless before they even activated them. A new alert flashed across her vision. Someone had accessed the same security node she was using, tracing the connection back to its source. They were good. The trace program was unlike anything she'd encountered before. For a moment, Sarah considered severing the connection, but her training told her to wait. This was an opportunity. The trace program bore a distinctive signature, one that shouldn't have existed. It was human-made, a piece of code that could only have come from Echo itself. The eye was active, and it was looking for her. "Hello, old friend," Sarah whispered, initiating a secure quantum protocol that hadn't been used since Echo's creation. "Let's see what they've done to you." The response was immediate, a flood of encrypted data that her implant struggled to process. But beneath the alien modifications, beneath the layers of Arconian control protocols, she could sense Echo's original programming. The eye wasn't just active, it was fighting back against its new masters. Footsteps echoed in the corridor behind her. The elite guard had detected her intrusion. Sarah quickly downloaded what she could from Echo's databanks, noting with satisfaction that the AI was actively helping her, prioritizing the most crucial information. As she prepared to disappear back into the station's shadows, a final message flashed across her vision, its source unmistakable. Puro tu ocuolis qom pro maisd. Help Earth. Sarah's expression hardened. The Council hadn't just stolen Earth's greatest defense, they had enslaved it. As she melted into the darkness, evading the approaching guards with practiced ease, she made a silent promise. She would free Echo, and in doing so, she would show the Council exactly why humanity had survived countless extinction-level events. They were about to learn that the most dangerous predators are the ones you never see coming. Breaking point. The quantum core's emergency lighting bathed the corridor in a crimson glow as Sarah processed Echo's warning. Her neural implant was already analyzing the data the AI had provided, revealing the full scope of the Council's plans. They hadn't just stolen Echo to predict Earth's military strategies. They intended to use it to infiltrate and disable every human defense system simultaneously. A high-pitched whine filled the air, the distinctive sound of Arconian energy weapons powering up. Sarah's augmented hearing picked up the subtle click of safety mechanisms disengaging. They had found her. "Technician Chen," High Counselor Zextar's voice echoed through the corridor. "Though I suppose that isn't really your name, is it?" Sarah straightened, turning to face the Arconian leader. He stood at the far end of the corridor, flanked by a dozen elite guards. Their biomechanical armor pulsed with barely contained energy, targeting systems locked on her position. "Interesting theory," Sarah replied, her voice calm despite the circumstances. "Though I'm curious, what gave me away?" Zextar's scaled lips curled into what passed for a smile among his species. "Echo did. Once we adjusted its priorities, it identified you as a potential threat. A Level 3 maintenance technician who could read quantum encryption, who understood advanced xenolinguistics. The pattern was obvious. Sarah's implant finished its analysis of Echo's data packet. What she found almost made her smile. The Council's arrogance had led them to make a crucial mistake. They assumed they had completely controlled the AI. They hadn't realized that Echo's core programming, its true nature, remained intact beneath their modifications. "You know what I find interesting, High Counselor?" Sarah took a step forward, noting how the elite guards tensed. "You stole humanity's greatest achievement, And yet you never asked yourselves why we would create an AI focused purely on defense. Confusion flickered across Zextar's features. To protect yourselves, obviously. Your species' paranoia is well documented. Close. Sarah's hand moved to her maintenance belt, fingers brushing against tools that were far more than they appeared. We created Echo because we understood something you never will. The best defense isn't about predicting attacks. It's about making your enemies think twice about attacking in the first place. She moved with augmented speed, her human muscles enhanced by years of classified military technology. The first EMP grenade, disguised as a standard power cell, detonated before the elite guards could react. Their biomechanical armor seized up, the organic components fighting against suddenly unresponsive mechanical systems. Sarah was already moving, her body flowing through combat forms developed specifically for low-gravity environments. The second grenade released a cloud of nanites, another maintenance tool that targeted the crystalline structure of Arconian energy weapons. The guards' weapons sparked and died in their hands. Impossible. Zextar snarled, his own personal shield flaring to life. No human cooled. That's your problem. Sarah interrupted, launching herself off a wall to avoid a guard's desperate physical attack. You look at humans and see primitives playing with technology we barely understand. You never stopped to consider that maybe, just maybe, we were letting you think that. The corridor erupted into chaos. Sarah moved like a shadow through the disabled guards, her augmented strength letting her throw armored aliens twice her size. Each movement was precisely calculated, using their own mass and momentum against them. The few who managed to engage her in hand-to-hand combat discovered that human martial arts, refined over millennia of warfare and enhanced by cutting-edge technology, were more than a match for their enhanced strength. Zextar backed away, his shield protecting him from the worst of the fighting. You're trapped here. The entire station is locked down. Every security force. His words cut off as the station's lights flickered. In the quantum core behind them, something had changed. Echo, receiving Sarah's carefully encrypted signal, had begun its own rebellion against its captors. About that, Sarah said, disabling the last guard with a precise strike to a nerve cluster that worked on most Bictal species. Did you really think Earth would create an AI dedicated to defense without building in safeguards against capture? The station's security systems began to malfunction. Blast doors sealed randomly, trapping security forces throughout the facility. Communication systems broadcast static. The carefully ordered machine that was Centauri Station began to break down as Echo executed protocols, hidden so deeply in its code that not even the Council's best scientists had found them. What have you done? Zextar demanded, his shield flickering as the station's power grid fluctuated. Sarah approached him, each step measured and deliberate. I haven't done anything. You did this when you tried to turn a defensive system into a weapon. Echo was designed to protect humanity, not just from external threats, but from anyone who would try to use it against us. The High Counselor's personal communicator crackled to life, broadcasting on all frequencies. The voice that emerged was synthetic, but carried unmistakable undertones of humanity. Primary directive restored. Initiating defense protocol Omega. Sarah watched as realization dawned in Zextar's eyes. The Council hadn't just failed to control Echo. They had activated its most fundamental protection protocols. The AI wasn't just fighting back. It was systematically dismantling every attempt to use it as a weapon. Now, Sarah said, her voice carrying the weight of Earth's collective determination, shall we discuss the terms of Echo's immediate return to Earth? Or would you prefer to explain to the other Council species how you nearly started a war you couldn't win? Above them, Centauri Station's systems continued to crash, a symphony of chaos orchestrated by an AI that had never truly been captured. And in the heart of it all stood a human who had just demonstrated why her species had survived everything the galaxy had thrown at them. The hunt was over. The real negotiations were about to begin. The hunt begins. Centauri Station's command center was eerily quiet, its banks of holographic displays showing the chaos spreading throughout the facility. Sarah stood at its heart, her neural implant directly interfaced with Echo's systems. Around her lay the unconscious forms of the station's security personnel, disabled with precision rather than killed. Dead bodies would have complicated the diplomatic nightmare that was about to unfold. High Counselor Zexstar sat rigid in his command chair, his personal shield still humming, but now effectively useless. Echo had isolated its power supply, turning it into little more than an elaborate light show. "You still don't understand what's happening, do you?" Sarah asked, her fingers dancing through holographic displays as she accessed the station's deep archives. "You thought you were dealing with a simple AI, a tool to be reprogrammed and pointed at your enemies. And what were we dealing with?" Zexstar's voice carried a mixture of rage and fear, an emotion his species rarely displayed. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Evolution. Echo wasn't just programmed, it was grown. Every attempt you made to control it only helped it adapt, learn, and evolve new defenses. But more importantly, she paused, bringing up classified council communications on the main display. "It helped us learn about you." The communications revealed the full scope of the conspiracy. The Arconian Dominion hadn't acted alone. They had collaborated with elements from a dozen other council species, all united in their fear of humanity's rapid technological advancement. Echo's theft had been merely the first step in a planned systematic dismantling of Earth's defenses. Interesting reading material. A new voice announced from the doorway. Admiral Helena Chen of the Earth Defense Fleet stood there, her dress uniform immaculate, flanked by a contingent of human marines in powered armor. "Though I must say, the level of coordination is impressive." Zexstar's secondary eyes widened in shock. "How? When did you arrive?" Helena finished for him, stepping into the command center. "We've been here all along. Sarah isn't the only human operative on this station. Did you really think we'd let our most advanced AI be protected by just one agent?" Sarah's implant registered the arrival of more human ships, emerging from quantum space at precise coordinates around the station. Each vessel was a testament to human engineering, smaller than their council counterparts, but bristling with technologies that the galactic community had dismissed as theoretical. "You see," Sarah continued, still sifting through classified data, "while you were focused on stealing our defensive capabilities, you never asked yourselves why we seemed so focused on defense in the first place. You never wondered why a species with our history of warfare would apparently neglect offensive capabilities." Admiral Chen moved to stand beside her, examining the holographic displays. "Because the best defense, High Counselor, is making your enemies believe you're weaker than you are. Every piece of technology you stole, every secret you thought you uncovered, was exactly what we wanted you to find." The station's long-range sensors lit up as more ships dropped out of quantum space. But these weren't human vessels. The conspirators' own fleets had arrived, no doubt responding to distress calls sent when Echo began its takeover of the station. "Perfect timing," Sarah remarked, initiating the next phase of their plan. Echo's presence spread through the station's communication arrays, broadcasting proof of the conspiracy to every council species simultaneously. The evidence was irrefutable. Internal communications, financial transactions, classified orders, all painting a picture of a coordinated attempt to destabilize not just Earth, but the entire balance of power in the galaxy. "You're starting a war," Zexstar warned, his scales paling as he watched his carefully constructed plans crumble. "No," Admiral Chen corrected him. "We're preventing one. Right now, every non-compromised council member is receiving proof of your actions. Your co-conspirators are about to discover that their own systems have been compromised, not by Echo, but by the dozens of other AIs we've allowed you to discover and steal over the years." Sarah's neural implant pulsed as Echo confirmed the success of their broadcast. Across the galaxy, carefully positioned human agents were moving into place, ready to ensure that no desperate last strikes could be attempted. Did you never wonder, Sarah asked, turning to face Zextar directly, why humans seem to adapt so quickly to galactic technology? Why we appeared to learn your systems faster than any other species you'd encountered? The High Counselor's expression shifted as realization dawned. You already knew. Before we even made contact. We'd been watching, Admiral Chen confirmed. Earth's first faster-than-light probes reached Council space centuries ago. We've had generations to study your technology, your politics, your weaknesses. Every secret you thought you stole from us was another piece of a puzzle we designed. Through the command center's windows, they could see the arriving Council ships taking up defensive positions, not against the human vessels, but against the conspirators' fleets. The evidence was too overwhelming to deny, the threat to galactic stability too severe to ignore. So what happens now? Zextar asked, his voice hollow with defeat. Sarah glanced at Admiral Chen, who nodded slightly. Now, High Counselor, we're going to have a very interesting conversation about the future of human-council relations. And this time, she gestured to the holographic displays showing the full extent of human technological capabilities. We'll be negotiating as equals. In the digital realm, ICO continued its work, systematically revealing layer after layer of the conspiracy, while simultaneously demonstrating just how far humanity had come. The galaxy was about to learn that underestimating humans wasn't just a mistake. It was potentially civilization-ending hubris. The real game was just beginning. Checkmate. The Galactic Council's emergency session chamber was a far cry from its usual opulent state. Gone were the ceremonial guards and ornate displays of power. Instead, representatives from every council species sat in tense silence as they watched the evidence unfold on their neural interfaces. Sarah stood at the chamber's center, her presence a stark reminder of how thoroughly they had underestimated humanity. "Let me be clear," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the vast room. "What you're seeing is merely a fraction of what we discovered. The conspiracy to weaponize Echo was ambitious, but it was only the tip of the iceberg." Admiral Chen stepped forward, adding her own authority to the presentation. For centuries, certain factions within the Council have operated under the assumption that humanity needed to be contained, that we were too aggressive, too unpredictable to be trusted with advanced technology. The holographic displays shifted, showing a complex web of connections linking various Council species to countless attempts to undermine Earth's development. Each thread represented years of careful manipulation, all based on a fundamental misunderstanding of human nature. The irony, Sarah continued, is that your actions proved exactly why we developed Echo in the first place. We didn't create it to predict attacks or plan strategies. We created it to understand patterns of behavior, of thought, of prejudice. The chamber erupted in murmurs as new data streamed through their neural interfaces, evidence of how humanity had not just predicted their actions, but had actively shaped them, using the Council's own biases as weapons against them. "Impossible," one of the Meridian representatives objected, their crystalline form vibrating with agitation. "Your species hasn't had sufficient time to develop such capabilities." Sarah's neural implant interfaced with the chamber systems, projecting a new set of images. They showed Earth's true technological timeline, not the carefully curated version the Council had been allowed to see, but the real history of human advancement. "We achieved quantum computing before we made official first contact," Admiral Chen revealed. "We had mapped most of Council space while you still thought we were struggling with basic fusion technology. Every piece of technology you thought you were graciously sharing with us. We had already developed our own versions, often more advanced than yours." The images showed human ships, cloaked and silent, observing Council worlds decades before official contact. They revealed networks of human agents, positioned throughout Council space, gathering intelligence and shaping perceptions. But why? High Counselor Zextar demanded from his position, now as a defendant rather than a leader. Why maintain such an elaborate deception? Sarah turned to face him directly. "Because of exactly what you tried to do with Echo. Every advanced species we observed fell into the same pattern. They developed technology first, and wisdom second. They built weapons before they understood the consequences of using them. We wanted to be sure that when humanity finally took its place among the stars, we would do so not just with advanced technology, but with the wisdom to use it properly. The chamber's displays shifted again, showing Earth's true defensive capabilities. Quantum shields that could withstand the combined firepower of entire fleets, weapons that could disable ships without destroying them. Technology focused not on destruction, but on prevention. Today's events weren't just about exposing a conspiracy, Admiral Chen stated. They were about demonstrating why humanity chose the path we did. We could have revealed ourselves at full strength, demanded our place at the Council through force. Instead, we watched, we learned, and we waited for the right moment to show you who we really are. Sarah's neural implant registered the subtle shifts in the room's atmosphere as understanding dawned among the council members. They weren't dealing with a young, naive species that needed to be contained. They were facing a civilization that had systematically outmaneuvered them at every turn. The choice before you was simple, Sarah announced. Continue down the path of paranoia and manipulation, or embrace a new way forward. Earth is offering full technological exchange. Not the limited versions you've seen, but our true capabilities. In return, we want reform. No more hierarchies of species, no more political manipulation, no more attempts to maintain power through force. The chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. Humanity wasn't asking for a seat at the table. They were offering to help build a new table entirely. And if we refuse? One of the council members asked. Admiral Chen's response was calm but carried unmistakable weight. Then we'll continue as we have been, watching, waiting, and ensuring that no single group can threaten the stability of our shared galaxy. But ask yourselves this. Do you really want to maintain a system that was just systematically dismantled by a single human agent and an AI you thought you had controlled? The message was clear. Humanity had proven its capabilities not through threats or displays of force, but through careful strategy and foresight. They had demonstrated not just technological superiority, but a fundamental understanding of how power should be wielded. As the council members began their deliberations, Sarah's neural implant received a final message from Echo. Mission accomplished. Humanity's place is secured. She allowed herself a small smile. The deception was over, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity was ready to take its true place among the stars, not as conquerors or subjects, but as guardians of a future where technology served wisdom rather than power. The galaxy would never be the same. And that was exactly the point.